Hello again. Welcome back. Instagram Live. TWLOHA at home. People are showing up. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for joining us. My name is Jamie Tworkowski, and I'm the founder of To Write Love on Her Arms. Honored to be here on behalf of our entire team, our staff, interns, I always say former interns, this great big community of compassionate folks. And maybe you consider yourselves a part of that, a part of this. So this is an attempt to be together, to create some space that we can feel connected, even while we're far apart, even while we are isolated or distanced from each other. This is a chance to have a taste of community, and my hope is that you walk away from this time feeling encouraged, maybe feeling less anxious, less afraid. We know that a lot of people, a lot of us are spending more time than ever at home. A lot of people are bored at home, but for others it's not that simple. We know that people have died, and so with that we know that thousands of people, not only across America but around the world, are dealing with grief. We know that there are people who are concerned about sick family members. We know that basically everyone can relate to being concerned about friends, loved ones who we're afraid could get sick, especially seniors, grandparents, folks who are vulnerable. And so this is our best attempt to continue to show up. Our team continues to show up quietly behind the scenes every day. We still continue to do this work. We continue to show up at our jobs, but this is a way, in the midst of all of our events being postponed or canceled, that we can do our best to show up for you. And so again, it's an honor for me to get to be here on behalf of our entire team. We did one of these on Monday with John Foreman, and Monday we celebrated 14 years of To Write Love on Her Arms. And specifically, that was 14 years ago on Monday that John Foreman from the band Switchfoot wore the first To Write Love on Her Arms t-shirt on stage at a Switchfoot show in South Florida. And obviously it's wild how the time flies, but also just how we never could have imagined all that would come, that it would grow into a nonprofit organization that would not only still be around, but be doing better than ever, still going strong 14 years later. And it's just been a privilege to continue to invite people into this conversation, to do our best to let people know they're not alone, to do our best to invite people into this conversation, to try to break the silence and the stigma that surrounds mental health, and just to let people know it's okay to be honest and it's okay to ask for help. One thing I want to mention, we've been using these Instagram Lives to point back to our website. Even this Instagram Live, we hope it's an example of using technology to connect. And so we want to remind you not only to use FaceTime, make phone calls, send text messages, but also that if you're struggling, you can still get help in this time. You can send a text to Crisis Text Line here in the US. The number is 741-741, and they are available around the clock. They are active in Canada and the UK. But beyond that, you can still seek help in the form of a professional counselor. Many counselors are still working over the phone, over Skype or the equivalent to Skype. And so we want to point you to our website, to our Find Help tool, where you can find mental health resources in your local community. And over the last couple weeks, we've been able to add a self-care section. We know that self-care is so important right now. So we have tools and suggestions related to self-care. And we also, in our Find Help section with our Find Help tool, you can now find so much related specifically to COVID-19, from food to finances, senior citizens who are lonely and need someone to talk to. We are proud that so much can be found there. So if you have some unique needs, even basic needs, physical needs that are not being met or that are really challenging right now, please check that out. And we also have our Fear Won't Win landing page with some of what I've mentioned, but also podcast episodes, blog posts. There's even coloring book pages that you can print out to pass this time. And so we just want to use this time as a reminder that even though so much is limited, so much has been canceled, that hope will not be canceled, that help will not be canceled. Community, friendship, having a support system, conversations. So please take advantage of the technology that we have. Please reach out to friends, to family members. If you're struggling, tell someone you're struggling. If you're concerned or even just curious about someone, please reach out to them. And then if you need professional help, know that it's okay. It's more than okay. It's important to still be able to ask for that help. And you deserve it. And with that, I'm going to bring on our first guest. We have two amazing guests for you today. The first is Mojgani, our poet friend, who will be joining us from Portland, Oregon. And then Ashlyn Harris, who is our amazing goalkeeper friend, who plays for the U.S. Women's National Soccer Team and also the Orlando Pride. And she will be joining us from about an hour west in Orlando. And so we're going to start with Anis. Oh, I'm going to add him now. Okay. Oh, and hi Ashlyn. I always think it's awesome if you guys want to share where you are right now, where you're watching from. I think it's so powerful to see where people are, and hopefully this is something that makes the world feel small. Anis.
Hey, how
Hi,
you doing?
buddy. I'm good, man. It's good to see you.
You too.
Thank you for doing this.
My pleasure. Thanks for
We
having
have
me.
we have to pretend that we didn't FaceTime like an hour ago.
I know.
Can you hear both of us okay? People are chiming in with where they're from. I already gave it away, but tell us where are you right now, and where are the people you love right now?
Well, right now I'm in my home in Portland, Oregon, chilling in my room, and there's lots of folks that I love everywhere. But my family is my folks and my sister and nephew and brother-in-law are in New Orleans, and my brother and his wife and their kids are in Virginia, outside of DC. Yeah, my thoughts often these days are in New Orleans and
Yeah.
Louisiana, because things are pretty hard right there. Right now.
How's your family doing? How are they holding up?
I mean, pretty good. I mean, like, everyone is safe, and their spirits are up as much as can be. I talked to my mom the other day, and she and my pops have their routine of, as she says, foraging in the neighborhood, just like going for a walk and picking mulberries and Japanese plums off of the trees. There's far less folks on the streets to, I guess, like, hassle them from doing such, if there were.
Yeah.
But they're good. My sister's in public health, and so she's definitely, I think, very, very present with everything that's information and data-wise that's coming in, and so it's good that there's someone like her down there, kind of making sure that my moms and my pops are not wandering the streets and, like, dipping into large social gatherings.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're doing good.
What about you, man? What have the last few weeks looked like for you? What have you been thinking about, and how are you holding up?
It's definitely been weird. I mean, I think it's like a very strange, surreal time. Like it feels like existing inside of a movie. Like the other day I was video chatting with my friend Karen, and we were talking about how just, like, it popped up in the conversation, like, the things that we miss, and it just felt like, freaking something out of, like, a weird sci-fi flick or book of just, like, I mean, missing sitting in a movie theater, and it's like a difference of, like, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
you know, and so it's definitely very, very strange and surreal, you know, and it's like such a odd and interesting mix of things and feelings, you know, some very, very conflicting feelings, you know, that it's definitely, you know, there's a lot of I wouldn't say anxiety that I'm carrying, but like, you know, I definitely have some apprehension and fear for the uncertainty and you know, the belief that like things are not going to be normal, so to
Yeah.
speak, for a while, and they're definitely not going to be what they were 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whenever we move out of whatever this period of reality is.
Sure.
And you know, it's hard because the reality is that there's like a lot of people in danger and a lot of people dying and a lot of people sick, and and so you know, I'm fearful and tender about that, while at the same time I'm also, you know, as I was saying to you earlier, just that like I'm also excited for what new things take shape both inside my life and in society's life as well, you know, that like I'm curious about like what um as an artist and as a working artist, like what shape does my work, both like work for income and work for myself, my creativity and my art, what shapes do those take in this new world that we're in? And what does it mean to have community and have an audience and have relationships with people, particularly like right now, um, as we are required to be from afar, you know? And so like I'm curious and excited to see like what gets birthed out of this period and how that might affect whatever comes afterwards. And also just like on a larger scale, you know, that just like there's a lot of issues and problems with the way our world and our country in specificness like operates, and a lot of the challenges that we're in right now are bringing a lot of those problems to light. You know, so I'm hoping that it provides enough revelations for us to move our society and our culture in a different direction, a more prosperous and sustainable direction, you know? So all those things are like swirling around at the
Yeah.
same time, you know? While also at the same time, like being bored, you know?
Mm.
And then being guilty for being bored, and then being productive, and then like being like happy that like, oh, I get to like watch this movie and read this book while also being like, oh shit, there's all these people that this is like really affecting, you know?
Yeah.
Like, so it's definitely a really weird period right now, I think, for all of us.
Yeah. Are there any new rhythms or things related to your mental health or self-care that have felt healthy in this strange season?
The yeah, you know, I mean, like, because I definitely am a person that has sought to find the things, the moments in my structure of living that that aid with my mental and emotional health. And a big part of that for me is just sort of like my routine of life, and so there is like some non-disruption to that, you know, thankfully, since I do work for myself. So I'm just like, all right, well, I'll work from home, you know. But also like a big part of my life is being out in the world, and like, you know, I've been going to the same coffee shop in my neighborhood uh, uh, since 2007, and you know, like it's a really big part of my life.
Do you want
Going
to
to the
shout it
fresh
out,
pot.
or do you want to be
Yeah,
left alone there?
the fresh pot on Southeast Hawthorne. For those of you in Portland, if you're able to like, if you're looking to get some coffee, you know, they're closed right now, but they're supplying orders online. You know, so support uh, local businesses, particularly that one, in any way that you can. You know, and you know, it's like that space is definitely a big part of my life. You know, it's inside of one of the Pals bookstore. Another shout out, like if you're looking for books, order your books.
Yeah.
um, and so you know, I've had to find other things, and I know for me, one of those is I haven't found like all my rhythms yet. You know, it's definitely like I'm trying to allow for. I was talking to my sister last night about how I want to allow for my body to respond in what it needs and wants right now. You know, like if it wants to sleep at this time and be awake and out of bed at this time, it wants to eat a meal at this time, you know, like allowing for that. You know, I think that that's really important right now. But I also want to find the structure for my life to like stand upon, to be able to be productive. And one of the things that definitely has helped me is just like making sure that I'm getting outside every day, you know, even if it's just like a 5-minute walk, you know, but like and it's been really lovely to get to walk around my neighborhood these days. There's a sadness to it, in how quiet it is, and how, you know, when you see people on the street, all of us are kind of like almost.
I lost Anis's audio. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Can you guys hear Anis? Should we can try, let's see. You guys can't hear Anis. How about this? Okay, we're gonna add Anis back on. Thank you guys for being patient. For those of you who are looking for Ashlyn, she is our second guest. She will be on next. So we got a few more minutes with Anis, and then Ashlyn will be joining us. So we're going to try to get him back on. If you guys want to ask questions of Anis or Ashlyn later, you can do that. Hi.
Back in? Hey.
Yes. I was just telling them.
I feel like things happen like that whenever I'm talking too much. So I'll like get to the point of what I'm saying, but just that, like, you know, walking around in my neighborhood these days there's a really sad beauty to it. And you know, it's sad how like quiet it is, because I know why it's so quiet and still, but there's also a strength in feeling that like everybody right now is alone, but like all of us are being alone together. And so when I go on my walks, there's a reminding of that for me, and that's something that I take a lot of peace in, a lot of strength in. So that's something that definitely helps me.
Are you writing or drawing? Are you not writing or drawing? Do you feel any pressure?
I definitely feel pressure to be creating right now. I definitely feel pressure to write, and I haven't been. I've mostly been working on this picture book project and trying to get to a certain point in that where I can like send it to where it needs to get sent to, and then can maybe like open up my brain and my heart to making some other stuff, because there's definitely things that I'd like to be writing. So we'll see what the coming week holds for that.
Yeah. So I wanted to mention, if you guys have a question for Anis, you can submit. There's a question mark icon for me. I know it's at the bottom of the screen next to the comment box. So whether it's now for Anis or later for Ashlyn, we would love to get to a few of your questions. But Anis, I got one for you before we invite you to do a couple poems. We celebrated 14 years of the organization this week, and I feel like we've known you for, I don't know, half of that or more. And I just wonder kind of what stands out as To Write Love has ended up in your orbit, and you've been a part of it, and we've partnered, especially with Heavy and Light. Just kind of what stands out for you?
I think the thing that stands out most to me is, you know, I think all of us, like, we exist in our individual orbit, and like the orbits of those that like we connect with, and it's a gift whenever one's orbit starts intersecting with a whole other set of planets or solar system that is like orbiting for very similar reasons and with like similar purposes and intent. And you know, so when I first got introduced to Write Love on Our Arms, and to you, and just kind of like that family, and also that community and audience, you know, it was really heartwarming to get to see other folks that were like me and some of the other, some of my peers and some of the folks in my community that, you know, were creating work and space and dialogue to try to find ways that bring people together and ways to not let all of us feel so by ourselves at times. And so it was just like, you know, remarkable to get to kind of like get introduced and like, oh, here's all these strangers that are like, it's like as if you're like walking through your house and you know this room, and you're like, what's behind this door? And you're like, oh, this door is to a room in the house that I'm in, and like I never came across it before, and but it's part of this house that I live in, and it's part of this house that I'm a part of, and so that was really nice and really special, and so I've been really grateful for that over the years.
Yeah. Well, man, we've been grateful for you, not only for your poetry. Obviously, you've been a big part of Heavy and Light, our annual event and one-time national tour that we loved having you out on. But also just the gift of your friendship. And I wonder if you'd be open to sharing a couple poems today. My hunch is there are some people that have not only never heard of you, but maybe never heard of you, because I know we got some soccer fans here. So I wonder if you could share a couple things.
Yeah, I will share a couple things. I've done this once before. The other week, my friend John Sands has been interviewing poets, having conversations with them, which has been really nice. And so it's so strange to kind of like do poems into a camera.
Yeah.
It's like on my phone or tablet, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll do a couple of poems, and yeah. Come closer. Come into this. Come closer. You are quite the beauty. If no one has ever told you that before, know that right now you are quite the beauty. There is joy in how your mouth dances with your teeth. Your smile is simply a sign of how sacred your life actually is, so step into it. Come closer. Know that whatever God might be, they ask the world around them to help them make something of worth. Woke from dreaming, scraped the soil from spaces stuck somewhere inside themselves, made you, and were happy. You make that Lord happy. Come into this. Come closer. Know that something softer than us, but just as wholly planted pieces of itself into our feet that we might one day dance our way back. Know that you are almost home. Come just a little bit closer. There are birds beating their wings beneath your breastplates. Gentle sparrows aching to sing. Come aching hearts. Come soldiers of joy, doormen of truth. Know that my heart was too big for my body, so I let it go. And most days this world thins me, to where I'm just another cloud, forgetting another flock of swans, having shaved off so many of my corners that I have felt at home only in the shape of a ball, bending myself so far backwards that the song of my mother believed I was returning home. But believe me when I tell you that somehow my soul still manages to squeeze itself into very narrow spaces. Place your hand beneath your head when you sleep tonight. Perhaps you will find it there. Making beauty as we sleep, making beauty as we dream, making beauty as we turn over. When we turn over in the ground, may the ghosts that we have asked our answers of do that turning, kneading us into crumbs of light and into this love thing called life. Come into this, you wooden museums, gentle tigers, little giants. I see teacups upside down, glowing across your grins. Your hearts are like my hands. Some days, all they do is tremble. I am like you. I am just like you. I too at times am filled with so much fear, but like a hallway must find the strength to walk through it. Walk through this with me. Through this church of blood, bone, and muscle that is ours, there is a doorknob that glows like chance before you. Grab it, turn, and pull. Step through, back straight, chin up, eyes open, hearts loud. Walk through this with me. Walk through this with me. Thank you. I'll
Thank you, man. That was great.
Thanks, Jamie. Thanks for having me. I'll do this little guy here. Yeah. All right. And when spring arrived, I took a class to learn something I had never before learned, and a thing I thought I might love. How did we make it through this winter, after the year we have had, and while knowing what awaits us in the new one? How amazing we who have stayed are, how beautiful and heavy and vulnerable we who couldn't were. Oh, when spring arrived, I learned how to carve from wood a large spoon. I hadn't ever done that before, and I haven't done it again since yet, but I learned it as I've learned more how to hold my heart again and whisper into it, and once more listen a little better to the songs it sings, even mouthless, with no mouth it sings, and even when no note heard, nor even made, I am listening, or at least learning to always try to. So perhaps it is not the longest night we at times find ourselves in, but simply the slowest dew forming upon us. Thanks, Jamie.
Oh, man, thank you. Do you mind if we take a question?
No, not at all.
All right, I'm going to see what we got. Hey, while I look for a question, do you mind telling people how can they find more of your work? How can they support you? Do you have books?
Sure. The best place to go is to, if one visits my website, which is the Piano Farm. It's also my Instagram handle. There's things there that can introduce one to my work. There's lots of videos online. I have a number of books. So if you take my name and Google that, you can order my books online. Preferably not from Amazon, particularly right now. I think like right now is a very, very good time to support whatever bookstores that are in your neighborhood, in your city. So many of them are closed, but still taking orders online. So if you're interested in getting any of my books, please do so from your bookstores.
I love that.
Oh,
so this one gets cut off, but my friend Reb asks, can you speak more to the idea of strength and loneliness feeling, to the strength and loneliness feeling you experience when seeing others on your walks? And she just went on to say that she found that relatable.
You know, I think that, you know, I think that to be human basically comes down to two at times conflicting things, and that we as people are inherently alone. You know, like no one can fully understand whatever it is we are experiencing in our interior self. And two, we are inherently connected to one another. You know, we need one another. As independent and self-sufficient we might be and desire to be, we do need humans, other humans. And so, you know, those two things being present in the same space feel the most human to me. And so, like, going on my walks, which are always right now by myself, and if ever in this period when they start to be with friends, we will still be walking 6 to 7 feet apart. So these walks are by myself, and I see others getting their walks in, and I know that they are experiencing the same thing that all of us, through their lens and through their experience, but the same thing that we are experiencing. And so to see others and know that that is happening with them, while I'm experiencing my aloneness, allows me to feel alone in the same room with a lot of other people. And I think that there is a strength and a power in all situations when we realize and recognize and hold tight that our experiences and the things that we feel, while ours, are also happening to other people. We are not so alone. And, you know, so my walks in my neighborhood definitely reflect that. And I think that there is a beautifulness to getting to be alone in the company of other people being alone. You know, whether that's directly in the same space or whether that's like rippling outwards in the world around us.
Yeah. Man, I love that. Well, my friend, thank you again for being here.
Thank you for having me. And thanks to all
Uh,
y'all for joining us.
yeah, you guys follow Anis, buy his books. You got some videos on the interweb, right?
They're out there. There's a lot of stuff.
So
You'll
this
see.
man's he's got way more than 2 poems for you. He's got a whole bunch of good ones. I saw some other requests from people. But man, yeah, thank you again. And
Thank you, Jamie.
yeah, always good to see your face, and thanks for sharing your work with us.
You too.
All right.
Keep on sharing this with everyone.
Will do. Love you, man. See ya.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye.
So that was Anis Mojgani, and he is wonderful. Follow him, The Piano Farm, and his name is Anis, Anis, Mojgani, Mojgani. And with that, some of you have been wondering where she is. I'm going to bring on our second guest, the one and only Ashlyn Harris. You guys are excited. Hi.
Hey, Bob, what's up?
People really love you.
Oh, well, I really love them.
People were like, who are these two dudes? Why are they talking to each other? Where is our friend?
Anis is the man, you guys. Like, Jamie, I love that guy. Every time I come to Heavy and Light, like, he moves me in a way that it's hard to do.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of him.
Well, and you and Allie were backstage this time, right? When he did his poem back there.
Yeah.
I remember that. We always do that. That's a tradition I love, that we have him, we get everyone in a circle and we have him do a poem. And then you led the hands in at the end.
It was awesome.
That was cool.
Such a good community. Like, the group of people are just so incredible. But his words literally move me, his presence, everything. I've always been such a big fan of his.
Yeah, I love that. Well, that's kind of what he was talking about, like all these different worlds colliding, you know? So for him as a poet to be rubbing shoulders with musicians and counselors and soccer players, that's something, I think we love that as an organization, and you represent a big part of that, just putting people who might seemingly be different together, but we have so much in common.
Yeah.
How are you? Where are you?
I'm at home in Orlando with my wife and my 2 puppies. And yeah, just trying to stay patient, give myself like good space to rest and be still, because it's, honestly, Jamie, it's been a long time since, a lot of us had a break, probably 5 years. I haven't been home this long in years. It feels nice to be still and to rest and, try not to feel like everything is crumbling around me, but just like find little positives here and there, because it is a difficult time and it is a fearful time and an anxious time. And I have those feelings. And, the last few nights, I lay in bed, I can't sleep, my mind's racing. So, I'm just trying to really focus on my mental health and, what that looks like right now for me and things I'm doing, and having Allie support me. So it's a tough time for a lot of people, like trying to lean in and lean on people and make sure that, you have a good sense of community and, people you can bounce things off to. And, sometimes I personally get caught in isolating myself. So I'm trying to do a really good job of not doing that, because it's a black hole for me. So I'm just like, trying to manage. A lot of things have changed now with the Olympics being pushed back, professional sports. What does that look like now moving forward with a lot of people in a small confined space?
Sure.
There's a lot of unknown. I think that becomes super fearful.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to take it, day by day, and continue to stay ready and do our part with social distancing, but also just trying to be still and being okay with that in the moment.
Yeah. What have the last couple weeks looked like? I know you're recovering from an injury. I know you're thinking about your mental health. I know you've been training. You probably, I love the silver lining that you shared where you are getting a break, even though you didn't ask for it or anticipate it. As your friend, as someone who cares about you, I know I've wanted that for you in general. So that, to me, that is one silver lining. But I wonder just kind of what your days have looked like.
You know, for me and Ali, honestly, we wake up and we have our coffee and we get to, you know, the news and play with our puppies and we do our workouts. Right now with Orlando Pride, we're still in virtual meetings, kind of almost every other day, and virtual workouts. So we have a lot of tasks that we have to do. It's a time to, you know, maybe you can't do the physical part, but like, what are you doing to work on your game tactically and making sure you're watching film? And so that's a majority of the middle of our day is going over film and footage. And just like we love to cook at night, that's kind of what brings us together. And, you know, we try to talk about, you know, throughout the day, we'll FaceTime with friends and, you know, we kind of circle back together and we reflect on the day. And, you know, we're trying to just go for walks. That's definitely been something we've both been doing, in bike rides. So we're staying, you know, grounded. And, you know, it is funny because when you get caught up in life and what we do, we're constantly moving and constantly giving. And you wish for this moment to just be at home and enjoy being normal, whatever that looks like.
Sure. Yeah.
And now that we have that, it's like, I want to go back to just living in hotels out of my suitcase. So,
Yeah.
you know, be careful what you wish for kind of stuff. So, you know, we're just reflecting on everything, and it gives us the time to really talk about the future and, you know, what that looks like for us, because we did just get married and we're back in training Monday after the wedding. We didn't take a honeymoon. So, you know, this is a good time for us to just reconnect and figure out what the future holds for us and how we want to keep growing, you know, in our partnership. And, you know, it's a good time to reflect and be grateful. And, you know, we sit back and have really great conversations about, you know, excessive things we have that we don't need. How we want to give back now. How are we going to make this, you know, a better place, and what are we going to do to rebuild this community? So this is good for us. It's open dialogue. It's challenging us. It's having us step out of our comfort zone. So, yeah, our wheels are turning. That's for sure.
I wonder, as much as you feel like sharing, kind of, you talked about the tendency to isolate and being intentional as it relates to prioritizing your mental health. And I wonder just what some of that, what tools or resources or solutions have you been leaning into that just kind of feel healthy, especially specific to your mental health?
Well, I think if anyone knows me on a personal level, I'm such a giver. Like, I give. That is just what I do, whether I'm in with the national team, in with my club team. I come from a place of compassion and understanding and making sure everyone's okay at the detriment of my health. Because weirdly, it's what makes me tick. It's what makes me feel whole, and it's what has moved me my whole life to connect with people.
Yeah.
And I did feel like in the She Believes tournament, I was giving, and I was only home 7 days in the last 3 months. So I wasn't getting that time to recharge and give back to my team and my partner, because I didn't have a second to just breathe. So isolation for me is something I actually have to do often, because I am such a giver and it is so important to me. that I need that time to close everyone out, close the cell phone, and kind of isolate and sit in dark places where I can literally just almost plug myself into the wall and just feel the green light keep building.
Yeah.
Because it's hard. You know, a lot of times when I'm on fumes, I'm not at my best. And I feel like it's such a big part of my personality is making sure everyone's okay in our environment, that I have to find time to just isolate and recharge for my mental health to be the best partner I can be, the best teammate, you know, the best daughter and sister and all these things, because it's so important to me.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. I do want to go back. You mentioned getting married. I was lucky enough to be there, and I tell people it still feels a bit surreal because it was so magical. I imagine a lot of people have been able to see photos, videos. It felt like a movie. And I wonder now that some weeks and months have gone by, just kind of how, I don't know, just how you remember that night and sort of that season and sort of what has stayed with you.
Yeah, so 2019 was an unbelievable year, and it was just so nice to cap our wedding off on such an incredible, memorable year, exhausting year, but we really, really enjoyed it. It was literally like a fairy tale. We did not want it to end. We had such a good time. It was the first time that everyone could be in one place at one time, because, you know, athletes and family, and everyone's always in different directions on different schedules. And, you know, it was very strategic of the date we planned it, so we knew people could be there, and it was so moving. I think back to what it took to have so many special people in that room and to vibe and connect in that way. I know you heard the speeches. The speeches were incredible. I mean, you could just feel so much love and pain and hurt and sacrifice and everything else in between. And it was just so much love in one place. It was one of the most incredible nights of my entire life. I don't know what will ever top that.
Yeah.
But it was so important to just hear people's story and hear how we've moved them in a small way, and, you know, how the wedding, you know, paved the way for LGBTQ activists, and we paid so much respect to the people who came before us, who made it possible, you know, to be able to stand up there and be married in a safe space where everyone there really genuinely loved us and rooted for us and cared for us all these years. So it was a special night. You know, and I think the biggest thing was, Jamie, we wanted to share that love and that sense of community with everyone, even if it was hard personally, because we are private people. It was important for everyone to see like what is possible and what happy endings look like, and what community looks like, and that was really the moving part behind sharing that so publicly.
Yeah. Was there anything, like, obviously you guys dreamed it up, you planned it, you had help, but beyond all that or after the fact, was there anything that just totally surprised you, like that you didn't expect to feel, or that just was like, wow?
Yeah, I guess for me, I actually, when everyone left the wedding, which is cool, I haven't told anyone this, so this is gonna be really fun. So when everyone left the wedding, I walked the grounds by myself and videotaped my reflection of the night and what that night meant to me. And I had a message to Allie, just telling her like how impactful she's been in my life all these years and how she's pushed me to be a better person. And, you know, who I am today is a big part of her helping me become this activist, this, standing up for what's right, all these different things. She's been a big part of it. And I wanted to give her a message that she could always have from that night. So I have that video, and I eventually clearly will share that with her. But also, if God forbid anything ever happened, to me early, she could always know how I felt about her on that night that was so special for both of us.
Yeah.
So it was pretty powerful just to kind of, we talk about being still and just reflecting in the moment. That wedding happened so quick and things were moving so quick. We had to go from boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
It was a moment for me to pull myself out, take a look at what we as a couple have created, how successful we have been to be able to have and pay for these type of things. Like, it was a moment I just could be like, you're doing the right things, like, keep going.
Yeah.
So it was a really nice moment just for me personally to have by myself. And I think it could be really cool to have that footage and do something with it eventually.
You may not have seen it, but she left a comment and said, "Let's do it again."
Oh, she's sneaking on here, isn't she?
I wanted to switch gears. You may have heard me mention it, or you probably already know, but we celebrated 14 years of this organization earlier this week. And a lot of people don't know, but I've known you since you were in high school. We went to the same high school. I'm a bit older than you. So I think people assume we met through the organization, and we met back when you were at Satellite and I was working for Hurley, and then you went away to college and we reconnected. And I've told you this, and I've told other people, but you've been such a huge source of support and friendship, and just you've played such an amazing role that we are forever grateful for. And people always wonder, how do we know all of these soccer players? And I remind people it can all be traced back to Ashlyn Harris. And it's the same question I asked Denise, but I just wonder, kind of as you look back on your relationship with the organization, just kind of what stands out. I know how it looks through my eyes, and just how much gratitude there is, and just how many people have been introduced, not only to us, but to hopefully this message of hope and help because of you. And so I was just curious kind of what you might reflect on.
Well, I love the question, and I really haven't taken time to think of it, so I'm just going to fly off my heart, which is always
you're good at that.
But honestly, when you're in sport and you're in a team atmosphere, like, whatever you're personally carrying, you can't bring into the environment. So if you're struggling, or if you're having a hard time in relationships, if you suffer from depression or anxiety playing in front of 60,000 people, or whatever your triggers are, when you got in the white lines, like, you had to pretend like you were okay, because like, you have to be able to perform, and you have to be able to look like you're not an issue, or other people aren't worried about you, and your stress is now passed on to someone else in the collective. And it almost made me cold. And it almost made me feel like I couldn't be okay. And it was really hard for me. There was a time where my parents were going through a divorce, and I was questioning my sexuality. All these things were swirling in my personal life, and I had to show up every single day and pretend like I was happy and I was helpful and I was there for the team. And, it was this, fake it till you make it type of thing. And it left me in a really dark place. And it was like I needed a community to lean on, to feel that I could be my true authentic self, and saying, hey, it's okay not to be okay, and I can still do my job and still struggle with addiction and depression. And I'm not perfect. And everyone seems to think that, you know, if I'm glammed up head to toe and I'm laughing, that everything's great. But like, I have real struggles behind closed doors that I have to work on every single day. Like, I have to be kind to myself every morning I wake up. I have to remind myself that I am enough, or that my body is this, or, you know, like, I have the same struggles everyone else has.
Yeah.
And I was tired of pretending like I couldn't talk about it because I was in this spotlight. And because of that, I had to be this perfect light for everyone when I was crumbling in the darkness. So I finally found, you know, you, and you came into my life, and you were a big part of that puzzle that was like, hey, like, I'm here for you. I have a community for you. It really helped me find my voice to say, like, I'm not okay, and that's totally fine. And I'm working on it every single day, and I struggle just like you.
Yeah.
So I really, partly saved my life. You know, soccer has given me a place, but you have given me a community. And I need both to function properly and be the best version of myself. So To Write Love has been a lifesaver. And to me, I know there are people out there who are struggling and having issues just like I do. And I don't want them to feel that way. I know what it's like to feel isolated and alone, and having to walk out of my front door and put on a fake smile and this fake reality that doesn't exist in my heart. So I had to go out there and bring everyone in and be like, this is our community, and you're never going to be alone in this community. And your struggles are my struggles, and we're going to carry each other through this pain, and we're going to find the light on the, you know, at the end of the tunnel. And I love the sense of community, and I don't feel alone, and I don't feel that I have to pretend to be something I'm not. So it's special. It's so special.
That's amazing. Have you been to maybe two different versions of the same question? Have you been surprised at how receptive your fans have been? And also, have you been surprised by how receptive your teammates have been in terms of your support of the organization? Yeah,
I mean, my teammates are so incredible, and they have, you know, supported the cause and supported me, and, you know, helped themselves in the process. Because we do live a really difficult lifestyle, and we need this sense of community to lean on. And I just love being so real with our fan base and being authentic and letting people know when I'm not doing okay, and, you know, just leaning in on other people. And a lot of them I don't even know, but it gives me so much strength. You know, it's hard to do what I do every single day and constantly be on the road and constantly be living out of bags and suitcases and hotels. So I feel that, no, you're good. I feel that I'm so lucky that the fan base has really been a part of it, and so receptive of it and understanding. And I can meet someone for 30 seconds and they can tell me, they feel safe enough to tell me some of their deepest, darkest secrets. And I think that that's so beautiful, that these people are being so vulnerable and they don't even know me, but I'm creating a safe space that they feel like they do. So fans have been so involved and a part of it, and so vulnerable after games, having conversations, and I can see everyone's signs in the stadium. I mean, I'm so grateful for our fans. They literally continue to push me every day to do what I do, no matter how hard it gets.
I love that. And I feel like I've seen that. And I think that has so much to do with the unique connection you have with your fans, and how people really feel like not only that they know you, but that you genuinely care about them. And I think that just comes through I'm looking for a question, if that's okay. There's a bunch
Yeah.
of questions from folks. Um, this is kind of a softball, but I wonder, we haven't talked about the dogs. You and I have talked about being dog parents.
Yeah.
So I think I wonder what, just, you have two dogs, and obviously you live with Allie as well. So just what they mean to you, but also maybe what they've meant to you in this unique time.
Yeah, I don't usually get this much time away from sports with Allie. And, you know, building up for the Olympics these last few months and being in like preseason trainings, like we've been away from our dog. So for finally for all of us to be together it's been a nice change up. I'm like so happy being around my, you know, family and my dogs. And no matter what, if I leave for 30 seconds to go check the mail and I walk inside, it's like the puppies, it's like they haven't seen me in weeks and
Yeah.
they're so excited. It's honestly, it's been the best feeling. Allie and I can just play outside and go to the park with the dogs and play fetch, and we're taking family walks together, and it's just been a really nice change of pace, being around them this much, and being able to get that quality time, you know, away from sport and away from being on the fields every single day. And we are really having a good time, and it gives us a chance to reconnect, you know, because now that the Olympics have been pushed back a year, it's going to be another hectic year, and it's going to be a lot of travel, and it's going to be a lot of being away from home. So, you know, we're really trying to take this time to um, continue to grow, and, you know, not forget what's going on in the real world. And you know, it's just,
Yeah.
it's been a good time, but it's been a heavy time. I can't pretend like it's not, you know, it's
Yeah.
just a hard time for everyone.
So Instagram's going to cut us off in a minute. Do you care